Very loud here. I'm glad you're here to join me. I am going to move us through a flow today that is really just a foundational flow in my opinion, and it's not going to have a ton of vinyasing. I've had some friends that have had some wrist issues, and so I thought I'd offer a flow that didn't create more wrist issues and really allowed some relief from that. So, but other than that, it's very much like my normal flows. We'll definitely get our breath going and warm up our bodies. So before we do, I thought I'd read one of my favorite Psalms to you guys. This is Psalms 3, and it's one that sat with me during a time of depression and lack of sleep, and it is what carried me through, honestly. So let me read it. Find a spot, maybe child's pose, or maybe just simple seated, nice and tall, and I want you to, don't force your breath, but just come into an intentional breath. So notice where your breath is. Maybe it's super fast. Maybe it's really just right up here in this part. Like, bring it down into your belly. Don't force it, but just move it gently. Guide it there. A Psalm of David when he fled from Absalom, his son. O Lord, how many are my foes? Many are rising against me. Many are saying of my soul, there is no salvation for him in God. But you, O Lord, are a shield about me, my glory and the lifter of my head. I cried aloud to the Lord, and he answered me from his holy hill. I lay down and slept. I woke again, for the Lord sustained me. I will not be afraid of many thousands of people who have set themselves against me all around. Arise, O Lord, save me, O my God. For you strike all my enemies on the cheek. You break the teeth of the wicked. Salvation belongs to you. Your blessing be on your people. The words that I cling to here are, I lay down and slept. I woke again, for the Lord sustained me. And it's not that in my sleeping I necessarily gained the rest I needed, but because of the Lord. No matter how long I sleep or don't sleep, the Lord sustains me through it. And that word sustain, sus is under. It is a lifting up. And I always think of God kind of coming down. And so that vision of him being underneath to hold me up is so challenging to my view of God, that I just always view him kind of coming down on me. And here he is raising me up. He is underneath me to pull me away from those things that are my enemies, those things that are bothering my mind. With that, let's get started. So if you are not in a simple seated, I want to encourage you to come into simple seated. Take a deep breath in. Exhale it out. One more time, deep breath in. Exhale it out. Good. Now take your neck, and we're just going to warm our neck up a little bit and roll it around. Nice and slow. Bring it all the way up to the other side, and then bring it back down. And to the right. Now to the left. And one last time to the right. Good. Take your hands up nice and strong. And bring your left hand down. Right hand comes over and pulls on that tricep. So make sure, we a lot of times kind of arch our neck forward, so pull that neck back. That might mean, as you can see, I can have my hand over. I can't pull. I don't have the flexibility. So find that space for you. Good. Hold it here. Feel the body warming up. And release. Maybe shrug your shoulders up and down just a little bit. Good. Raise up, breathe in, and breathe out. Bring the other elbow down or up. Good. Breathe here. And bring it down. Good. Shrug those shoulders up and down. Nice and gentle, not real big. Bring your hands up. And right hand comes down, left hand over and reach. So pull that hand over, pull the shoulder open, pull this hip down by pressing against the mat. Good. And come up. Other side. Good. And back. To the right. And to the left. One more time. Good. Come up nice and tall. Take the left hand to the right knee and twist. Really pull through that twist. Good. And raise up. Other side. Good. Really engage that core. Good. Raise up. Now we're just going to flow it out just a little bit. So come over, exhale. Inhale, center, exhale to the other side. Inhale, center, exhale, twist. Inhale, center, exhale, twist. Inhale, center, exhale to the right. To the left. To the right, twist. And to the left, twist. Good. Come to center. Switch your legs into a butterfly position. Get nice and tall. Maybe pull at those ankles, or maybe it's out wider. And then once you get there, I want you to lean forward and pull your knees down. Pull your shoulders back. Yeah. Hold here. Good. Take those hands, bring them underneath, and we're going to raise up, if you can, into flower pose. And then release the hands, but keep those feet floating. Come into boat pose just for a moment. Bring the legs down into staff. And raise the hands up and fold over. Good. Really pull into that staff pose. Press the backs of your legs against the mat. Pull the shoulders back. Nice long back side spine. Hold here. Good. Release. Bend the right leg. Tuck that right leg in and twist to the right side. You might keep your hand on the outside, or if you can pull deeper into that twist, make sure you've engaged the core. Get nice and tall. And release. Switch legs. Nice and tall, and twist. And then take that hand all the way over. If you want, Remember, this is your practice. And release. Come back, one more staff pose. Come up nice and tall. Fold over. This time, instead of staying in that long spine, just round that back and just fold all the way as deep as you can. Good. Open up your legs into an open A, nice and wide, and raise up. Turn your torso over that right leg and fold over. As you can see, I can't go that far down, so don't be worried about getting all the way down there. Find that nice long spine. As long as you're getting that stretch in the back of the leg, you're good. Then take that right hand onto the inside of the right leg and reach over. Good, come up, nice and tall, turn over that left leg and fold. Then bring that hand on the inside and turn that side body. Don't forget to breathe. These are positions we like to hold our breath in. But we want to breathe here. And come back. Bring your feet in, come into a simple seated rock forward into our tabletop position. So to start and for our tabletop, I just want you to just kind of move your body around, just nice and gentle. And then I want you to take your left shoulder and left hip and you're kind of sending them to the left side while taking that your core and sending it to the right. So try to kind of push it to the right. Hold it there. Now release. And the other side. So send that hip and right shoulder and right hip to the right and send that middle body to the left. One more time, just almost like it's a wagging tail. Send to the right, then come up nice, just a little arch of the back, and then a rounding. Maybe even pulling back, coming up on the tip-toe fingers. Round the head. Good. Now, I'm going to turn to the side so you can see. What we're going to do is we're going to take that right leg and send it back. And we're going to take, I'm going to switch sides, sorry. Right leg, send it back, and then I want you to take your left hand, open it up, so closed hips. So your opposite leg is back. Notice it's on the ground, so I'm grounding it and opening up. Good. Now take that hand and thread it through. Bring your cheek towards the mat. And then come up. And you're going to switch and turn this back foot so that it's bladed. Open the right side, nice and wide. Good, bring it down. Push back on that heel, get a little calf stretch in there. Just pressing your hands against and letting that heel go back. Good. And switch legs. So left leg's going back. Get it nice and secure. And then you're going to take your opposite hand. So left foot's back, right hand comes high. And then you're going to take that hand, thread it through, bringing that cheek down to the mat. If you wanted to take this further, you could also take this hand and wrap it around. Or if you wanted to add a balance, you could keep this hand here and raise that back foot. Good. Bring it back down. Unwind. And then take your left hand, so left foot is back, left hand comes up high. Now you're in an open position, that back foot is bladed now. Really send the hips forward and up. Good. Bring it back down. And then take that foot and really push it back. Get that little calf stretch in. Good. Plant those hands and raise the hips, step it back, downward dog. We're really not going to do that many downward dogs. So just do one nice long downward dog stretch. If wrists are an issue, you can always, in every practice, not just today's, but you can take your fists and come up on your fists for any position where you're using your wrists, or particularly in down dog, a good position to come into is dolphin pose, so bringing your elbows down. You're not going to be able to bring your heels down to the ground quite as easily, but it's a really good practice to get even deeper in your down dog. Good. When you're ready, I want you to walk your feet forward, coming into forward fold. And just let your whole body hang there in forward fold. Maybe shake your head yes. Shake your head no. Maybe even pedal your legs a little bit. Good. Heel toe those feet together if they're not, so your big toes are touching, and then raise up into mountain pose. Bring your hands together, maybe a slight back bend, and come to prayer center. Good. All right, now that we're warmed up, we're going to go through our first series today. So take a breath in, come up, and fold over. Halfway lift, so come bring your back to a flat back, press your hands against your shins. Or you might be pressing up higher, but I want them pressing somewhere. So feel nice, strong back, almost an arch in that back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up. A little back bend if you want. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Rise up. One more time. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up. And this time, take your hands out to a cactus. Pull them back, really pull those shoulders open. Good. Inhale, come up tall. And fold over. This time, come into a halfway lift and bring your hands out wide into airplane. So you've got a nice flat back. See if you can stay there, twisting your body. You might bend your right leg, right hand's coming down, twisting left arm high. Come back to airplane and switch. So keep that nice flat back. So don't round to get deeper into it. Bend the knee to get deeper in and keep a nice flat back. Good. And forward fold, step your right foot back. We're in a lunge. So this is our first lunge. You might move around in it a little bit. Good. Now, in this lunge, I'm gonna get my lunge a little wider. We're going to raise up into arrow. So we're still nice and low, crescent pose, or up on the ball of our foot. And then we're going to blade that back foot, raise up, warrior one. Hold this warrior one. for several breaths. So get nice and strong. Check all your warrior one points. So your shoulders are forward and down, not shrugged up. You've got your hips forward. You might even physically move them. I tend to have to physically move mine. Knee is neutral to outward. Good. Keep breathing here. Feel the body warming. Good. Maybe get a little deeper. Good. Now open up, warrior two. Good. So now your hips are open. The knee tends to want to come in right at this point, so make sure it stays tracking outward. Back foot is open. Good. Gaze is actually forward, arms lifted nice and high. Good, breathe here. And reverse. So you can bring that hand along the back side if you want, but I don't like to press against my knee, so I tend to do a little bind here. Either way is fine. Again, making sure that foot knee is tracking outward. Really pull that shoulder over. Good. Now come back up, kind of warrior two, straightening out that front leg, sending your arms forward, and then bringing it down into triangle pose. So open hip in triangle pose. Nice, open, almost to where you could be up against a wall. That's how flat you want to be. So if you're like this to get down, so your hip is sending back, really pull that hip back. You might come up on a block so that you can do that a little better. Good. Nice. Take that arm, bring it up over. Good. Now come all the way up, reverse triangle. So that front leg stays nice and straight, but that same reverse upper body. Good. Now basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna unwind that. We wound all the way up, now we're gonna unwind all the way back. So we're in a reverse triangle. We're gonna come to triangle. Good, really pull into that triangle. Raise up, bend the knee, reverse warrior. Warrior two. Now this is the tricky one. Warrior two to warrior one is always one that's a little bit funny to me. So we're nice open. All we're doing is closing the hip, but that feels really hard with that back foot. So really turn that hip forward, sweep the arms forward, get a little deeper. Now release that back heel, come into our crescent arrow, nice and strong, and then melt the arms down, lunge, and then we're going to take that back foot and step it forward. Forward fold. Halfway lift, forward fold, rise up. Good. Headed to the other side. Raise up, fold, halfway lift. Bring your hands out to that airplane. We'll start bringing our left hand down. Bend that left knee if you want. Open up. Good. Come back to that airplane and other side. Good. Come back and fold over. Left leg, send it back. You're in a lunge. First time on this side, so you might rock back and forth. Get comfy in it. Get up nice and tall on that ball of your foot. The heel is right over the ball, not pressing back and not too far forward either. Just nice, neutral. And then rise up, arrow, crescent. Good. Now, raise up and turn that back foot, which I can't do quite as well on this leg, and come into your warrior one. Hold this, check all your points. hips forward, shoulders down. Really drive that opposite hip forward as much as you can. Good. Get a little deeper. And then open up warrior two. Good. Remember, keep that knee tracking outward. And reverse. Come back up, straighten that front leg, send the arm forward, come into our triangle pose. So really pull this upper hip back so that you could be up against a wall. Good. Now reverse triangle. So straight leg, come into reverse triangle. So now we wound it all the way up. Now we're going to unwind it, speeding it up in the unwind. So here we go. Triangle. Well, I forgot earlier to do, I think, pull that arm forward. Just think that's a great little stretch. Now, reverse warrior. Now, warrior two. Get nice and deep. Check that knee. Then adjust into your warrior one. Then turn that back foot, come into arrow crescent. And then melt those hands down. Step forward, come into forward fold. Heel toe your feet out just a little bit and turn to face you. We're gonna take your two peace fingers, grab those toes, bend the knees, really pull into a gorilla. Maybe sway your hips. We have completed our first series. It feels good. Release those hands, roll all the way up, come into standing. Good. Take a breath. So we're going to do a balance pose today. And this is called eagle. We'll do it with a little bit of a flow so that we can keep ourselves moving. So if you have a block or something low, like a stool, you may want to grab it if you've never done eagle before, and I can kind of talk you through that if you want that. So this is a really stable eagle pose. There's a lot of ability to kind of stay, you're nice and tight and closed, and I think it offers for a lot for anyone who is really wanting to work on some balance but doesn't have a lot. So here we go. So we're going to start off sweeping into a chair. So we're going to bend our knees and come into a chair pose. So let's start off with a really good chair pose. Our arms are up and high, but our shoulders, notice I'm not squeezing them super tight. So I tend to be a little bit wider so that I can keep my shoulders down. Then we've got a nice long core, long spine. It's straight all the way through the neck. And then here's the key part, is that our knees are bent to where we can still see our toes, and our rear is not sticking way out, and it's not curling under. Now, if we want to go, we can do a really deep chair. I can still see my toes. I am not sticking out. So sticking out is like literally kind of almost pulling up. So I'm down enough on this, but you can stick it out a ways without being a total Beyonce, as I like to say. So, but you can also come up a little bit higher. Breathe here. This is a hard one. Chair. Okay, so in our chair, staying in chair, I want you to take your right foot and you're gonna cross it over, and you should be deep enough in your chair that your toe is touching. This is where a block could be really helpful if you're like, okay, I'm not deep and I can't get any deeper. I want your toe to touch here. So this is called a kickstand. Then in this position, take your right hand under your left and bind it. So that might be that you're here or even here. Doesn't matter as long as it's stretching, pulling that forwards. Or it might be able to wrap all the way around. No matter where it is, once you get there, I want you to raise the elbows and you should feel your back body opening up. Now, take that foot and see if you can wrap it in the same way that you just wrapped your arms. Sit deeper on the exhale, lift higher on the inhale. Oh yeah. Hold. One more breath. Hold it. And open up, come into a star pose. Turn your feet outward and sit down into a goddess pose. So in our goddess pose or horse pose, our knees are nice and wide. We're as parallel as we can be across our body. Hold here. Breathe. Now take your hands, bring them to your knees, not pressing too hard, maybe a little bit above your knee. Bring your chest forward. We're gonna take our right shoulder down, left shoulder up, twist, pushing those knees further out. Oh yeah. Come back to center and switch shoulders. So left shoulder comes down, right shoulder goes up. Turn your head. Good. Come up into open A. So you're going to turn your feet out and then bring your hands to your head. Turn your heels further out so that your toes are in. And we're going to fold over into an open A. You might step it wider if you want, or it might be just fine where it is. Bring your hands down to the mat. Release the head. Walk your hands to the right side. Walk your hands to the left side. Walk your hands out. Bring the weight into the balls of your feet. Melt the shoulders down. Plant your right hand and grab your right foot with your left hand, pulling through. Switch sides. Left hand plants, right hand grabs for that left leg. And release. Take your foot, lunge forward, coming to the front of your mat, and step it forward, and we're going to come into mountain so that we can come into our chair and eagle pose on the other side. Take a breath. Take your arms, sweep them, and come into that chair. Good. Hold here. Now stay nice and low. See if you can lift that left leg, create the kickstand. Good. You know where we're headed, but don't rush it. Left arm under right, and twist it to where you can, and then raise the elbows up. Now take that foot, wrap it all the way around, and sit in that pose. Nice big breaths while you're here. Hopefully you have some good music on. Breathe deep. Raise the elbows each breath in. Bend a little deeper each breath out. 2 more breaths. And release, open star. Turn those toes outward, sit down into your goddess. Oh. Hold here, really tuck that tailbone. Breathe. See if you can get a little deeper. Ooh, I have a cramp. Then take your hands, we're not going to press against our knees this time. This time, we're going to let our body come forward. Might be best if I turn. Body come forward, and our arms are going down the length of our legs till they get right about at our ankles. Our elbows are pressing against our knees, and we've got a flat back. Hold here. And rise back up. Goddess, stay in control. Rise all the way back up into star. Turn your feet inward just a bit. Take your hands behind your back. Pull open and fold over this open A. Release that neck. And then release the hands. And simply walk the hands over to the right side, pulling on the right. Walk your hands to the left side. Come to center and then walk those hands back underneath, trying to see if you can get a little bit further. Maybe even as you do that, so your hands are walking back, your feet or your feet are coming into the balls of your feet, the pressure. Good. And then walk your hands all the way to the opposite side of the mat. And come into that lunge. Good. And step it forward, forward fold. Rise up. Good. Come into center. All right. We have one last flow for us today, and then we're going to cool it down. And this one is a really great, yummy hip opener, hip stretcher, as if, although I'm feeling mine right now and I think they're plenty open, but that's great. That means we can go even deeper. So come to the top of your mat. This is the one time we're gonna do a vinyasa to get there. So inhale, come up tall. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step it back. One chaturanga, here we go. Of course, if you want more and you're like, I've been missing my push-ups, then do 5 right now. So come into that up dog space and then push back into down dog. Right leg, kick it high. Keep that leg straight for the moment. Feel the left leg really warming up. Can you get a little deeper into that down dog? Now bend the right knee and then just do a couple of circles. Feel that hip. You might even open up a little bit. Just really big, slow circles. No rush to this. Doesn't matter how many you do or even what you do. Good. And then take that right leg, sweep it forward to your hands, come into lunge. Good. Ooh, yeah. Maybe rock back and forth. So stay in a runner's lunge, but I want you to come up on the tippy toes of your fingers so that it's really your legs that are doing the work here. Your upper body is strong and can hold on its own. Good. Now take your left hand and plant it, twist open to the right, or really you're closing off those hips, but you're twisting to the right. Good. You might even see how far back you can twist. Good. Then take that hand and bring it over and see how long you can get in this twist. So really press against those feet, that foot, back foot. Good. And bring it around. Maybe walk that foot out a little bit, bring the knee down, and come into a lizard pose. So lizard pose, we're bringing our elbows down to the mat if we can. Otherwise, come up just a little bit, just getting deep. For this pose, I'm gonna turn this way so y'all can see. I want you to keep this knee kind of tucked in, not overly so. It's not pressing against, but I don't want it kind of flailing out. Don't worry, we're gonna do that in a second. Good, slowly come up. And now from this higher position, go ahead and let that leg come on the knife edge. Really open up that hip, pulling that knee out. Good. Again, if you are having wrist issues, this is a great, easy spot to take your hands into fists. Good. Now, you can stay here, or if you'd like, plant that left hand, bring the right hand around and grab for that back foot. Open up the shoulder, look back, and really create as much space in this middle body. Yeah. Kick that back foot back. Feel pressure. Breathe here. Release. Come back into that kind of lunge position. Knee is on the ground. Raise up. Get a little deeper in it. And then send the hips back, coming into a half split. Really send this right hip back. I often, in this half split, forget everything about my upper body. So I want you to really pay attention today, as will I. Is my core engaged? Are my shoulders still open and back, or am I shrugging them forward to get further in? Good. Rock forward into that lunge. Walk this foot over, and we're gonna come into half pigeon. So for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna hold this half pigeon for a minute, but if you wanna hold this longer, by all means. And if half pigeon isn't working for you, here's some other options. So while you sit there for a minute, I'm gonna give you some options. So if this really hurts your knee, in particular with this twist, you can simply take this back leg and bring it up here and fold over this way. It releases the twist a little bit, okay? So that's one, a crooked leg, half pigeon. Or if this really bothers you, then come onto your back into a figure four. So you're gonna take that same bent leg, cross it over your left, and then you're gonna come down supine and pull it towards you. Again, being careful not to twist that knee too much if you have knee issues. So stay wherever that is for you. Breathe. And then slowly rise up. And press those hands down, step that foot back, come into down dog. Good. So left leg, kick it high. Press into that right leg, hold it here for a moment. Now bend that right leg and then move it around. Open up that hip. Whatever feels good for you. Good. Sweep that leg forward, come into lunge. Nice. Maybe move it around a little bit. And then come into that strong lunge pose, bringing those tips of your fingers. Good. Breathe here. Nice and strong. Good. Now take your right hand, plant it, left hand goes high. You can always come down on your knee for this position. Really open up, take that gaze back, and then bring that hand down. Walk that foot out just a bit and come into lizard pose. So we're coming down onto our elbows. Again, you can keep that back leg lifted or bring it down, either way. One adds an intensity, one actually adds, if your knee is down, you might feel a little bit deeper opening. Good. Now slowly come up. Oh, I kind of didn't do a good job of showing you. Keep that leg tucked in while you're down in lizard, and then when you come up, let it fall out onto that blade edge. Good. In case you can't tell, it's humid outside, which is always great for my hair. Take your right hand, plant it, left hand comes high, maybe even grabs that back leg. And then create as much space as you can in that middle body. Breathe through it. And release. Come back around. Raise up into that lunge, knees down. And then send the hips back. Come into that half split. So remember, really work on pulling that left hip down. Don't forget your top body. Keep it engaged, shoulders engaged. Then lunge forward, walk that foot over, and come into your version of half pigeon. So maybe you add the crooked leg, maybe you come onto your back and come into figure four, supine figure four. Find your spot. Many of y'all may notice that I always have my back leg flexed and tucked under on pretty much any pose. And if you're new with me, if you've been with me a while, you know I say this every once in a while, but if you're new, people always ask, like, oh, am I supposed to keep it engaged? You can totally flatten it out pretty much on any pose. I keep mine engaged because I have a knee issue, and it does protect the knee to keep it flexed. But a position like this in particular, there's no pressure, so you really can pretty safely, it just irritates my knee, so I don't do it, but you can take the top of your foot and bring it down to the mat. And that's true of any of these kind of knee down lunges and things like that. You can do that. Breathe here. kicking back into a down dog, I want you to roll over onto that hip and just bring those legs around. We're gonna come into cow face today. I'm trying to make sure that we give our shoulders some stretch. So, and cow face always does that for me. I'm gonna show you all the variations. There's a lot, and it's just depending on your range, and some of it's just how flexible your hips are. It's not good or bad or whatnot, but all we're doing is we're bringing this knee over this knee. So you're coming in like this with this hip down as much as possible. So pick one. We're going to do both sides. For more intensity or a deeper kind of stretch, you'll pull your feet out. But remember, you want this hip down. I can already feel this hip has risen a little bit for me by coming out. So I want to adjust and keep that hip down. This may be nowhere near where you are. And so you can come into where you just have a bent leg, and this leg is bent. This is a pretzel pose. So you can come up, just keep nice and tall. It'll be the same, just as much of a stretch. So find where that is for you for your cow face today. And then take your arms up high. And then we're going to, my left leg is over my right. So my right arm is going to come over, and I can pull on that tricep. And then if I feel like I've gotten enough range today, I can take that hand, bring it around my back, and grab for the fingertips. Or if I'm not able to, but I still want this stretch, you can grab your t-shirt and pull them together and really start. Or you can get a strap if you want. But really pull this elbow out so that your neck can come back and not be folded forward. Good. Breathe and release. Nice. We're going to switch sides. So take your left leg under, the right leg's going to come over. Make what adjustments you want. Come to where you want to be in your cow face or pretzel pose. Oh yeah, you can feel that. And this side a lot more significantly. Breathe. Start off, let the hips loosen before you get into the arms. Nice and engaged. You might even lean forward a little bit. Feel that stretch. And then take your left arm and bring it over. I like to pull first, get it loosened up, pulling it open, and then taking that hand around and seeing if I can barely touch my fingertips. If I do, then I pull that shoulder open. Continue to try to lean forward into those hips. Breathe. And release. Good. And slowly unwind. Bring your feet to butterfly. Ooh, yeah, nice and open. Get nice and tall. And we're just gonna fold in to that butterfly as far as you can. Keep a nice long spine. And release. Take your foot out, tuck this foot in, and just a quick side stretch. And come up. Switch legs. Bring that arm overhead. And release. One more staff. Feel maybe how much your body has stretched out during this. Pull forward. Keep a nice long spine. Breathe here. Good. And come and lay down onto your mat. And today, we're just going to come actually onto our side body. We're not going to be on our back today. So we're going to turn to the side, pick one side, and come into fetal position. And this is where we're going to lay, because this, I think, is more apropos to sleep. And our Psalms 3 says, I sleep and then I wake up, for the Lord sustains me. I just think as we lay here, we can just know that even for these brief minutes of quote-unquote sleep, relaxation, we know that when we get back up again, we are sustained by our Father. He is the one that gives us the strength to make it through the day, whether we get the sleep we need, whether our sleep is interrupted because of kids or anxiety. He is going to sustain us. He is going to lift us up from the depths of where we are, and he's going to hold us up so that we can make it through the day. Just breathe. Maybe pause your video here and turn on a song and just finish it out with your eyes closed. And then when you come back, you can pray with me. Lord, thank you for this practice. Thank you for movement and stillness and fighting through that stillness and fighting through the movement. The way that you have made our bodies is just so miraculous. And we know that it's through you and through how you've made our bodies that you have created us in such a way that we can live in this world. I pray that you help sustain us through it, that we can know you better through our struggle in this world, through the joy and everything in our days as they draw out each day. In your name I pray. Amen. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good day.